The first time Lara met Chris, they were both 19, too young to know what loyalty meant, too old to pretend that chemistry didn't matter. He was her best friend's boyfriend, and that was supposed to make him off limits. They met at a campus party, music loud, laughter reckless. Lara had gone to keep her best friend, Tessa, company, but Tessa spent most of the night wrapped around Chris. Still, when he finally walked over to get drinks, he smiled at Lara as if they already knew each other. "Lara, right?" he asked. His smile was disarming. "Yeah, and you're the guy stealing my best friend." He laughed, deep and confident. "Borrowing? I'll give her back." That night, she told herself it was harmless. The spark, the banter, the way his gaze lingered too long. But something about Chris felt magnetic, dangerous. Months passed, and the three of them became inseparable. Study sessions, movie nights, lazy weekends at the cafe, they were a trio that looked unbreakable from the outside. But inside, lines were already blurring. It started with small moments. Late night calls when Tessa fell asleep early. Shared secrets that didn't feel like betrayal, until they did. Lara told herself it was innocent. But each laugh, each message, each inside joke started to feel like something else. Then came the night of the power outage. The campus was plunged into darkness, and the rain trapped them all in Tessa's apartment. Tessa fell asleep on the couch after too much wine, her head resting peacefully against a pillow. Lara and Chris sat by candlelight, playing cards and pretending they weren't aware of the electricity between them. When his fingers brushed hers reaching for a card, she froze. The world shrank to that single touch. "Sorry," he murmured, but he didn't pull away immediately. She smiled faintly, trying to shake it off. "You're bad at cards." He grinned. "You're worse at pretending." For a heartbeat, their eyes locked, and everything unspoken roared louder than the thunder outside. Then Tessa stirred, and they jumped apart. Nothing happened that night, but everything changed. After that, they avoided each other. Or tried to. But temptation doesn't fade, it festers. When Tessa left town for a week-long seminar, she asked Lara to check on Chris since he'd been feeling sick. Lara promised she would. She shouldn't have gone. But she did. Chris opened the door looking pale, tired, vulnerable. "You didn't have to come," he said, but the warmth in his eyes said he was glad she did. She made soup. They talked. Watched old shows. Every moment felt like walking a tightrope over fire. At one point, he reached for her hand. "You're the only person who really gets me," he said. She should have pulled away. Instead, she whispered, "That's what scares me." He leaned closer, his breath soft against her skin. The room felt too small, the silence too intimate. Then he kissed her. It was brief, desperate, wrong, and it ended as soon as it began. She pushed him back, tears already stinging her eyes. "This can't happen," she said. "I know," he whispered, but it already did. She left without another word. The next few weeks were a blur of silence. Lara avoided Tessa, avoided Chris, avoided herself. Every time her phone buzzed, her stomach twisted. Tessa, oblivious, kept talking about how lucky she was. "He's been distant lately," she admitted one afternoon, "but I think he's just stressed. I love him so much, Lara." Lara smiled through guilt so heavy it nearly broke her. That night, she decided to tell Tessa the truth. She couldn't live with it anymore. But when she reached Tessa's apartment, she froze at the door. She heard laughter inside, Tessa's voice, light and happy. Chris's voice, too. They were fine, laughing, and loved. And suddenly, Lara realized, telling the truth wasn't about fixing anything. It was about easing her own conscience. She turned around and walked away. Weeks passed. Then came the storm, the kind that doesn't just wash away dirt, it drags out secrets. It was Tessa's birthday. Friends gathered at a rooftop bar. The music pulsed, the city lights glittered below, and everyone looked perfect for one night. Except Lara. She couldn't shake the tension that lingered between her and Chris. Every glance felt like a crime, every word like a confession waiting to spill. Then, halfway through the night, Tessa pulled out her phone, laughing. "You won't believe what I found." She showed a photo, one Chris had accidentally uploaded to his shared cloud. It was from the night of the power outage. Lara and Chris sitting too close, candlelight between them, eyes locked. Not proof, but enough. The laughter died. Tessa's voice trembled. "What is this?" Lara tried to speak. "Tessa, it's not what it looks like." But Chris's silence said everything. Tessa's face crumpled. "You," she whispered to Lara, "of all people?" Tears blurred Lara's vision. "It was one mistake, one moment. I swear it meant nothing." Tessa shook her head. "Then it meant everything." She walked away, leaving them both standing in the wreckage. Time moved on. Tessa married someone else, a kind man who made her smile again. Lara saw the photos online, her heart tightening with something that wasn't jealousy, but mourning for what she destroyed. She never reached out. Some apologies come too late, and some wounds heal better in silence. One evening, years later, Lara stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Rain fell softly, just like that night long ago. She closed her eyes, remembering candlelight, thunder, temptation. She whispered into the wind, "I'm sorry." The world didn't answer, but somehow she felt lighter. The fallout was brutal. Tessa blocked Lara. Chris dropped out of school 2 months later. Rumors spread like wildfire, half-truths feeding on guilt. Lara transferred universities before the year ended. But distance doesn't erase memory. Years later, she ran into Chris again, older, more tired, carrying the same regret she saw in her own reflection. They sat in a quiet coffee shop, awkward smiles between them. "Do you ever think about that night?" he asked. "Every day," she said. He nodded. "Me too. I lost everything because I didn't know what I wanted." She met his eyes. "We both did." For a moment, silence filled the space where apology should have been. Then he stood. Maybe that's what we deserved. Lara watched him walk away, knowing he was right. They say every friendship has a line you shouldn't cross. Lara now knows that line isn't drawn in the sand. It's drawn in trust, in loyalty, in the spaces where hearts meet. And once you cross it, no matter how far you run, you never really make it back. But she also learned something else, that mistakes don't define you, what you learn from them does. She found love again years later, quietly, with someone who didn't make her question her worth. But sometimes, when the rain falls, she still thinks of Tessa and Chris, not with pain, but with gratitude. Because they taught her the hardest lesson of all. Love built on betrayal will always collapse, no matter how beautiful it feels. And friendship, once broken by desire, can never return to what it was, only to what it teaches.